A little after 2 this afternoon, Denver police gave the order to clear Columbus Park. According to police, a party going on in the park was illegal since the organizers didn't have a permit for a public address system. It was during this evacuation police started getting pelted with rocks and bottles from the crowd of almost 400. Police responded with tear gas and dogs. 3 hours later, most of the crowd had been dispersed. 19 people were arrested, many for felony criminal mischief. Several police cars and a TV news car were damaged by hurled debris. 2 officers were treated for cuts. It's unknown how many civilians required treatment. Police on the scene say today's riot may have been over from an earlier incident. Last week, police broke up a rally in another city park that was being thrown by the political group the Black Berets. According to police, the Berets also didn't have a permit, but vowed to hold their rally this week in Columbus Park.
They dared us to come in the park and put a stop to it.
When you say they, Sergeant, who are we talking about now?
The contingency of these Black Beret personnel that were at Highlands Park last week. Now, I don't know if this was the same group. I saw 4 or 5 of those particular personnel as leaders at this particular setup.
But Arturo Rodriguez, who says he's a lifeguard with the park, says the police disrupted another gathering to get to the Black Berets.
It was an overreaction on their part because we did try to communicate with them as employees of the park, as city and county employees, just as they are. We said, let us handle it. We've been doing this for 11 years. We've never had a problem with this before.
Police and civilians agree this evening's rainfall may have cooled the situation down. However, small bands of youths continue to roam the area, and some civilians are expecting a hot night. Talking with people out here, I've gotten the impression that tomorrow at noon there will be some kind of rally and news conference held here at the park. From what I've heard, there will be a list of grievances read, and then everyone will march downtown to join up with a demonstration against President Reagan. Michael Scott, News 7.
There's some very angry people here today, people who claim that yesterday's confrontation with police was totally uncalled for. They say that police were not going to allow yesterday's festival to continue, a festival which had been held the previous 10 years. Police say the reason they broke up the peaceful celebration in Columbus Park, also known as Raza Park, is because the 800 people on hand had no city permit and that they were there illegally. 10 minutes after carnival goers, including women and children, had been warned to clear the park, police moved in. It was during the evacuation that police were pelted by rocks and bottles. They retaliated with tear gas and dogs. 3 hours later, it was over. 19 people were arrested, 2 officers suffered cuts, and many of the citizens treated each other for burning eyes caused by the tear gas and for cuts and bruises. Again, the apparent reason for the confrontation, the lack of a permit.
You will find no city records of any permits ever being granted here, with the exception of this past July 7th. This was an informal agreement, and it's been a practice, a standing practice for the past 11 years.
At noon, just as President Reagan was arriving at Buckley Air Force Base, Chicanos gathered at Columbus Park, preparing to march to Corrigan Hall, where the president was to address the NAACP. The orderly march proceeded through northwest Denver, across the 20th Street Viaduct, and into downtown Denver. Chanting slogans, the congregation arrived at Corrigan Hall 45 minutes later, where they joined other groups who had gathered there to deliver protesting messages to the president. Inside, Reagan was delivering his own message and probably had no idea of what was going on outside. Organizers of Sunday's rally say they will not forget what happened yesterday. They are considering going to court and filing a lawsuit against the Denver Police Department. This is Fred Villanueva, News 7.
Police misconduct that took place on Sunday does not, and to endorse our efforts to make sure that this does not happen again.
The indiscriminate use of tear gas in the neighborhood, to me, is nothing more than a clear-cut demonstration of what, anyhow, those officers feel about this community. Some of the comments that were made, and I mean, that I've received, not only from one person or 2 people, but witnesses that heard 3 or 4 officers, some of the comments they made about the park itself, about the people that live in this community, I think are kind of indicative of an attitude. And I think that's what underlies it. It's that attitude that allows a police officer to throw tear gas canister at kids, 3 and 4 blocks away from the park. Mm-hmm. When the whole issue was supposedly a simple permit, and to clear the park. And even if they did clear the park, that has nothing to do with getting canisters on 39th and Shoshone. And
this is Columbus Park. better known by the folks around here as La Raza Park. Today, things here are very, very quiet, a terrific contrast to what the mood was here just last Sunday.